Hello, thank you for watching Solved or Unsolved. I'm Brent, the host of the show, and today we're going to talk about a famous case. A lot of people know about it, the Girl Scout murders in Oklahoma in 1977. I'm going to not really get into details that much of the case, but I'm going to discuss some of the problems I feel like are with the case and things that were done wrong. It starts, by the way, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. That'll really help me out, and that'll give you notifications whenever I have new videos out. I'm going to try to do at least one, maybe two videos per week. It was in June the 13th, I believe, 1977, in Locust Grove, Oklahoma. There was a Camp Scott, a Girl Scout retreat, been running for years, where Girl Scouts go there and stay a couple of weeks and do events and activities and things such as that. Well, Denise Milner was 10 years old, Lori Farmer was 8, and Michelle Gusa, 9 years old. These girls were staying together in one of the tents. They were in tent number 7, I believe it was. And this tent was the farthest away. It couldn't be seen. It was the farthest away, as most secluded tent in the group. Now, 2 months before this, there was a training session, I guess, for the counselors. And a note was found inside of a donut box that said 3 campers would be murdered. Okay, if this happened today, everything would have been shut down right then. It was taken almost as a prank at that point, which we know today it would have been very, very serious. It would have been shut down right then. Now, I find all of this, the note, I find all of this odd. It's a training session. And why are you going to leave a note in a donut box? I've been thinking about this. If I'm going to leave a note, I'm going to leave it out where everyone's going to see it. I wonder if they'd thrown the donut box away. It would have never been found. Were there prints taken of this note? Because obviously the person or persons who did this wrote the note. You know, I'm pretty sure maybe they didn't have gloves on. We get some fingerprints. It's real easy to get fingerprints off of paper. Very, very easy to do. This note just really seems odd to me. I can't really figure that part out. Just seems real odd because this is at a training session. I'll get to that a little later. So the girls, they stayed in tent number 7. It was the most remote one from the area. And there were numerous sounds during the night. I think one of the counselors even got up and with a flashlight looked around. Everything seemed normal, and she went back to bed. And I don't know if you've been in the woods very much, but sound travels very, very well. If you're walking through the woods, you can hear a squirrel in the leaves, 50, 75 yards away. Sound travels very, very well. Denise, the next morning, 6 a.m., one of the counselors was going to take a shower walking along the trail. And along the trail, she saw a sleeping bag, which had Denise was covered with the sleeping bag. She was murdered and determined she was strangled. Now, Lori and Michelle, it was determined, were murdered inside of the tent. And they were bludgeoned to death. They were beat to death. All 3 girls had been sexually assaulted. Denise was, her hands were behind her back with duct tape. Now, the duct tape is a very, very good source for fingerprints. I've never heard if it was tested. This case was totally done wrong by investigators. The scene was totally contaminated. But all right, we have 3, 1 girl outside and 2 girls inside. All are 10 and under. And 2 inside were bludgeoned, beat to death. The 1 outside was strangled. All 3 were sexually assaulted. Now, here's my thinking of it. I don't think there's any way possible that one person committed these crimes. Something else I never heard, I would be interested in hearing, is where the sexual battery, was it committed post-mortem? Or were the girls alive when this took place? The reason is sound travels so well in the woods. How are you going to be able to keep screams down? How are you going to be able to keep hitting things, slashing? They're fighting. I'm guarantee you they're fighting. And not really anything is heard. That tells me definitely 2, if not 3 people were involved. Especially with Denise, her hands were tied behind her back. You know, that tells me pretty much that she was probably alive when the sexual activity took place. If not, there was no need to bind her hands. There's a lot of questions to this case that will never be answered. Now, and there was a shoe that was missing from one of the 3 girls. Whenever these bodies are found, there's people coming in from everywhere. There's local police, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation come in. There's people everywhere on this crime scene, which was, I'm sure, I think I read it was like 2 or 3 hours. Once the girls were found, it was maybe 2 hours or more before the actual law enforcement showed up. Well, I'm sure you've got people running around touching things, contaminating the scene a tremendous amount. They did notice that one of the shoes were missing from one of the girls. They couldn't find it anywhere. And you got people everywhere on this scene looking around. Well, all of a sudden, magically, the shoe shows up right at the scene. Right in the middle of all of these people, it just shows up. Okay, that tells us a few things. There was no one around that law enforcement or people did not know. If it was, they would have said, who is this person, and get them out of here. They would have been questioned, what are you doing here? That tells me, I hate to say it, but someone on the inside, either one of the counselors, someone having to do with the camp, or yeah, I'm going to say it, or someone from law enforcement planted that shoe. There's no doubt. You can't have all these people, there's no shoe, all of a sudden you turn around, there's the shoe. There's no way. There was also a bloody palm print inside the tent. And it was determined that bloody paw print belonged to an Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation agent. So you've got an agent in here in a crime scene, obviously not wearing gloves, because if you had gloves on, you wouldn't be able to get the print. And he's dealing with stuff in blood and left total contamination. That's a no-no. It's never done, ever. There was a flashlight at the scene that they assumed was used by one of the killers. The flashlight had a fingerprint on it. And I'm sure you know the story, but everyone assumed, and they honed in on Gene Hart. Gene Hart was a Native American that lived in the area 10 or 11 years prior to this. He had been found guilty of, I think, raping a couple of women and was sentenced to prison. Well, he escaped and was free for about a 5-year period. He was he was escaped during this time that this took place. So everything honed in on Hart. Hart was an easy target. He was a Native American. He had committed a sexual crime before. He was escaped. They knew he was somewhere in the area, but they couldn't find him. He was a very, very easy target. And the fingerprint or thumbprint on the flashlight, it was not Hart's fingerprint. There is a lot of things. Hart is eventually charged with the murder of the 3 girls. But the problem was there was zero physical evidence that shows that Hart was at the scene. None whatsoever. There were some items found in a cave, I think maybe 2 or 3 miles away from where this incident took place. And there were some items there that they thought they could link back to Hart. Well, it tells me if the shoe was planted, well, this other evidence near the cave could have been planted too to make it look like Hart. I don't think they ever really maybe questioned, but didn't interrogate anyone else in this crime except for Hart. They honed in. When you're at a murder scene, everyone is a suspect. You eliminate people. You don't say, yep, he did it, and all the focus goes to him. When you do that, that's a huge mistake. You may find out 6 months down the road, we messed up. This is showing it's not him. Well, then you missed the freshness, the newness of the crime. Witnesses have had 6 months to think about this. Their stories may change. It's not hot anymore. Everyone's a suspect, and you eliminate each person one by one. They messed up and went straight for Hart. Now, Gene Hart was charged with murder of these 3 girls. Mr. Hart was found not guilty by a jury. Now, I'm sure most of you know this. Being found not guilty by a jury doesn't mean 1 or 2 people said not guilty. It means all 12 people said not guilty. Of course, Mr. Hart was arrested and had to go back to prison because he escaped for the rape of those other women. And he died just very soon after that in prison, like age 34. So he didn't live very long. My personal opinion, there was at least 2, if not 3 people that committed these crimes. And I feel like it's someone on the inside, someone that knew the area very, very well, someone that had access to law enforcement or some kind of connection there somewhere, because that shoe that showed up and no one noticed it or noticed anyone out of the ordinary being in their crime scene. I know it's probably going to be an unpopular opinion. I'm just stating the facts of what I see. Of course I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you would, please follow me on social media. Send me any questions whatsoever. Email me. I'll answer any questions. Again, thank you very much for watching.